Okay, so by now I think everybody should have seen Doctor Strange and should know most of the characters and big players in the movie. In case you haven't, this is obviously going to include spoilers and speculation and some of the backstory that led to Doctor Strange being the way it is. Now, primarily in this, I'm going to talk about the villain that could potentially be used in the second movie in the Doctor Strange trilogy, which I'm assuming is going to be a trilogy because it wouldn't make sense not to make one considering its box office money take. Anyway, way back when they first started working on Doctor Strange with the director, and he of course has a horror background because that's where Derrickson comes from, he was very interested in using the character of Nightmare and the Nightmare Realm. Now, this, they say they removed because it would have been too confusing at first. And honestly, I agree with them. You're introducing characters to the concept of magic in the MCU yet, and this is magic as magic. This isn't something else, they're literally using magic here. So first you would have to explain that. Now, when you go on past that, they kind of in the movie hint towards some of the other elements without really beating you over the head with it. Yes, we know there's other dimensions and all this, but they don't really shove it in your face. Now, if they were to take a character like Nightmare and put him in the movie, that would have been a second character that they would have had to deal with that's kind of not really basic magic. And I say basic magic in the most loosest term. Like, when you think of what Caecilius was doing, it was the same thing everybody else in the movie was doing. He wasn't representing another realm or anything. He wasn't controlling it. If you were to use Nightmare, and let's hypothetically say that they were going to say, oh, the nightmares you have are dealt with and are like, manifestations of this other realm that's represented by a guy called Nightmare, then that's a whole nother thing you have to explain on top of the movie and the already, plot of origin and who the Ancient One is and how magic works. And that kind of would have slowed the movie down and really convoluted it. So I'm glad they took it out. But if they were to do it in the sequel, you have now laid the foundation of everything that's basic, so people going into a sequel will understand where you're coming from. And the best kind of thing I can equate this to for magic would be like the Harry Potter movies. You don't start at the 4th or 5th movie, you start at the first movie and you get the foundation down. The second one improves on it, and as the movies keep going, they get better and better by introducing new elements of magic and new things that they couldn't explore in the first ones because it would have been too much for the audience. Now, of course, since in Doctor Strange they already, dealt with the whole astral forms and everything and how you can leave your body, well, that's how you would really use Nightmare. It's kind of like, you kind of do it like the comic where he's able to capture people's astral form and bring it into his realm. And maybe he makes them slaves or something, or do stuff that they don't want to in the real world if he can manipulate you enough. And I think honestly that would be pretty awesome. Now, of course, you could also go in there and use Mordo as someone who's pushing him to attack Doctor Strange. So I think there's honestly a lot you can really do with this character, and I'm honestly glad they removed him from the first movie because I think that would have been too much. But for the second movie, I honestly think he would be a perfect villain. So you guys let me know your thoughts on him down below.